Welcome back to This May Pinch a Little Bit. Um, and I wanted to say if it ever sounds like I am whispering, it is because I am. Um, I usually am recording my episodes when my entire house is asleep. And I'll be trying to be on the quiet tip, because don't want to wake anybody, especially not my daughter, because that's the whole thing. So anyway, um, yeah. So thank you for joining me for another episode, and this one is going to be titled "Kid Energy," and it's a conversation that I've had quite a few times with a few different people, my husband included. And it's just about protecting your children. There's a lot of things that are going on in the world today, and more recent things coming out about a lot of child molestation cases, especially with like big name celebrities, R. Kelly, the most recent Michael Jackson case. Actually, it's not even a case, recent case. They just did a new documentary on it, and they interviewed some people from the previous case. R. Kelly just has new girls coming out against him in an ongoing investigation. Well, I won't even say ongoing. It's stuff that we already knew about, but there are new girls coming forth. Talking about the things that he's done to them. So anyway, it's not as if child molestation is like a new subject. It's just that this generation is pretty much that we're not in the same era of our parents, and we aren't the type that are just gonna sweep it under the rug as they used to do. Because you can best believe I got plenty of people, family members, just people I know in general, that when stuff happened, it stayed inside your house. You didn't tell anybody. You wasn't out here letting people know, because that wasn't the thing. You don't tell people your business. You don't go outside of these four walls and let people know what's going on. And if you decided to tell someone, then if you're taken away, then that's your fault. And let whoever gets you take care of you, because I'm doing what I can. And if Uncle whatever decides to touch you inappropriately, you keep your mouth shut, because he might be the one paying something towards whatever bill in the house. Or if Auntie so-and-so does whatever to you, we don't say anything, because that's your aunt, and that's not something we speak on. I've seen videos of, daughters telling their mom about boyfriends doing things to them. And, this was a recent video actually that was floating around on Facebook, where their daughter was telling the mom that her mom's boyfriend had done some things to her. And the mom was upset with the daughter. And she basically was blaming her, because she was like pretty much saying, you're messing up my bread and butter. Like, he pays those bills. He's a good man, and pretty much shaming the daughter for speaking out. So there's a lot of victim shaming that goes on in today's society. And it's almost as if the women are not believed. And it's like a automatic thing. And sometimes I have to catch myself when like a lot of these cases come out. The first thing my mind does, even as a female, is automatically say, I wonder how this case came to be. Like, you start to question the woman's word, because there are quite a few cases where the woman did lie, but there are way more cases where the women are telling the truth. And then there are even more cases where the men never even come forward about anything happening to them, because of how they're going to be talked about or how they are looked at. And people judge men if they say, well, this woman raped me, or this woman touched me, or did something that I did not want. And I've had family members, or not any friends per se, because I literally, seriously, in all honesty, have two good friends. So I don't really talk to too many people. Might sound sad, but seriously, two friends. We've been friends for almost 10 years. So my friend circle is pretty tight. But yeah, I've had family members like, how can men be raped? How can a man allow that to happen? There are plenty of cases. And because they are men, they feel like I shouldn't say anything. It's in a, if I don't want this woman to touch me, if I speak up or I speak out against it, people are going to judge me. People are going to make fun of me because I'm the man. I should want this. I could have pushed her off. Like, there are just a lot of different things. Just like men are abused, physically abused, and they don't say anything, because if I call the police to say that this woman is physically putting her hands on me, then usually I'm laughed at, I'm made fun of. And the case, doesn't really go anywhere. So I say all that to say that this stigma or this culture has come from years and years of just keeping everything quiet and under wraps, that now when people do decide to speak out, usually the women are ridiculed and ostracized. And if the man is found guilty, it's almost like he still gets a pat on the back, and the woman is left broken or shamed and never really left whole again. So in a lot of cases, it's just, oh, boys will be boys, or she shouldn't have been wearing that, or she shouldn't have been out that late, or she should have been with someone, or, why are there excuses for a lot of these things for what the person did to the victim, instead of, the victim being the one who is heard or being taken care of? And, I haven't had any encounters with a rape or being molested or anything like that. But I know people who have, close friends, close family members. I know people who have experienced this. So it is my duty now as a parent to protect my children. And that runs through my mind quite often, because usually when something is happening to your kids, it is with someone that they know more times than not. So I have a 4-year-old, and he currently knows what a penis is, like the actual name. We don't have cute names for it. We don't call it a wee wee. Like, we are live at 5, not so plain Jane and out here. It is called a penis. And I let him know straight up. I am honest. He knows what a vagina is. So he is well aware, you have a penis, girls have vaginas. No one should be touching your penis. Like, that is just straight away. There are no secrets between kids and adults. There are no secrets between kids and teenagers, and there are no secrets between kids and kids. Like, I make that known to him, because there should be no one trying to touch my son in that way. And I let him know that it is okay to have that conversation with me. And sometimes randomly, even after he gets out of the tub or the shower, he's like, "Mommy, nobody touched my penis." I was like, "Oh, great." And I don't shame him for saying that. I don't make it a thing. I'm just like, "Well, that's great. Thank you for telling me," because I want him to know that that line of communication is open. I know that some people might find that to be too bold and too out there, but for his protection, I make it known. And it's sad that that is the world that we live in, that I have to tell my 4-year-old about body parts that early, but I just can't run that risk of someone hurting my child in that way, because I wasn't prepared, or I didn't try to do all that I could on my end. Um, and I have to do what I can on my part. So I want to make sure that I protect my son just like I protect my daughter, because I'm going to have the same conversation with her when she gets of age to understand body parts, and for her to know that, you know, this is what it is. There are no secrets. No one should be telling you, don't tell mommy, this is our little game. My son is well aware, you know, you should not touch that. He is even like, mommy, you accidentally touched it on your way to help me put on my underwear. And my son has eczema, so we have to moisturize pretty much his whole body um, every morning and every night. So we get pretty close to that area, but nobody's rubbing ointment on that, and nobody should be. And he knows that. So if we're too close, like he's like, whoa, you're too close. He's getting to the point now where he's like, I need to shut the door to use the restroom. Can you not look at me? And I respect those boundaries, because if I am forceful and I say, well, I'm your mom, I can be in here, even though he respects none of my boundaries. So when I'm in the restroom, he busts down the door and is like, Mom, what are you doing? Are you pooping? Are you pee-peeing? What are you doing? Like, he doesn't respect my boundaries, but whatever, he's for. But I respect his boundaries, because I want him to have that clear, open understanding that when he's with other people, if he shuts the door because he knows that no one is supposed to look at him, then I should respect that as well. I don't want to cross that line. Then when someone else does it, and if I do it and I say, because I'm your mother, then someone else does it and say, well, I'm your uncle, I'm your auntie. And he's going to put that together and bring that back to the time that his mom said, well, I'm your mom. And he's going to think, well, I guess it's kind of the same situation. And I don't want that to happen. So I don't want to be the catalyst and make these exceptions. And then he begins to make exceptions for everyone. So I respect those boundaries. And I allow him to make those cutoffs. And I don't see it as disrespectful, because he's not telling me in a disrespectful tone. He's just like, don't look, mommy, I need to shut the door. I got to poo poo or have to pee pee. Like, just don't look. So I am okay with that, because when he gets to school, or he is not with me, if he's being taken care of by my mom, or he's with one of my sisters or something like that, he has those boundaries set, then I want to make sure he is putting those into play when I am not around. So I just want to make sure that he's safe. I also want those things to resonate with him as he gets older, because I guess I should say I have crossed his boundaries before. My son he's still very loving. He's still very much affectionate. So he likes to give hugs and kisses, especially to his mom. And a lot of the times he used to do it a lot right after the shower or the bath. He's like, I love you, because we're already in close proximity. So I guess for him, it's an automatic, let me hug you, let me give you kisses. And I had to set a boundary, and I was like, okay, you can give hugs and kisses after we put your underwear on, after we put your pajamas on, because I don't want him to think that is normal for him to give hugs and kisses when he is butterball naked, um, or for someone to manipulate that, for him taking it as innocence that I'm just giving hugs and kisses because this is how I show affection, and for someone to turn that around and use that against him. So now he knows once I put my clothes on, now I can give hugs and kisses. And he also knows in the reverse, no one should be trying to give you hugs and kisses without their clothes on. Everybody should have on clothes, and no one should be trying to touch you. So there was a time when I crossed that boundary line for him. So he used to give hugs and kisses, like on, kisses on the lips, but he's gotten older. So it's not really his thing anymore. Now he only does the cheek, and that's fine. But there was one day where I was like, okay, give me a kiss. And he did not want to give me a kiss on the lips. And this was like fairly recent, maybe a month ago. And he, I guess, I don't know what I was thinking in this moment, but I guess it was like that mom thing that sometimes we do, like, oh, come here, give me a hug and give me a kiss or whatever, because you feel as though I'm the parent. I kind of tell you what to do, or I try to um, take over sometimes and do what you do what I say type of thing, even if it's just in a playful moment. And that's what it was for me, a playful moment. And in that moment, I almost wanted him to be like a little bit younger, like when he was 2, but he's not anymore. He's growing up. So I asked for a kiss, and he only wanted to give me a kiss on the cheek. And I was like, you used to give me a kiss on the lips. Give mommy a kiss. And he was like, I only want to give you a kiss on the cheek. So I gave him a kiss on the lips anyway. And it shocked him, and his face, he just felt very violated. He didn't like say ew or like make a scrunchy face, but it just made him uncomfortable. And I apologized to him, and I was like, you know what, mommy is sorry. I won't kiss you on the lips again if that's not what you want. And no one should kiss you on the lips because that's not that's not okay for you. So we can only do kisses on the cheek from now on. So I was like, I'll give you a kiss on the cheek and you give me a kiss on the cheek. I was like, is that okay with you? And he said that was fine. So that's what we did. So in that moment, I learned to respect the boundaries that we set. But I also learned that I had to be the example of what wasn't okay. Because if I never taught him that this isn't okay, if someone came behind me and tried that on him because he knew them, or because they said, well, you used to do this, or I'm your auntie, or I'm your uncle, or I'm a friend of the family, or I'm your teacher, or whatever they may be, again, he would associate that back to the time that his mom violated that boundary or crossed that line, and may think it's okay. Because, I mean, kids are so easily manipulated, and I don't want that manipulation to be because of me. So I let him know that that is not okay. I also am preparing and wanting to, and when I say preparing, I mean, I will continue this type of talk with my son, and continue to protect him at all costs, along with my daughter, because I mean, she is not left out of the conversation. But I'm focused a lot on my son because he's the oldest right now, and because a lot of boys grow up at like 8 and 9, 10, 12 years old, and they don't realize a lot of the times that they have been molested, because older girls are touching them or letting them touch or letting, I, let me fix it. What I'm trying to say is that The older girls are touching the younger boys or letting the younger boys touch them. And the younger boys don't realize that they've been molested until they're like in their 40s and 50s. Um, and I do not want that outcome for my son. And a lot of times they don't even realize that it was wrong, because boys are wired differently, right? So they're taught that at that age, oh yeah, older girl is letting me touch her, or older girl is touching me. Oh, I'm the man. I'm getting it in. And this is great, but it's not. It's wrong, because if it was the same sex, you would have considered it wrong. Or if it was an older man and a younger girl, it would still be wrong. So it's wrong no matter how you look at it. And I do not want my son to have that experience, because I do not want that to warp how he experiences his sexual encounters or how he views sexuality at any point in his life. I want him to draw his own conclusions and learn about sex in his own ways and not in that format. So I'm gonna do my best to protect him at all costs. The same way I'll do for my daughter, which brings me to the point that I'm probably gonna be that parent that my kids may not get to go to sleepovers until they're like older teenagers, man, because that's when a lot of this stuff happens. I mean, just think about it. You get a large group of kids over one kid's house. You never know who's living there or who's coming to the house or who's going to be at the party or whatever, because I may okay, let's just put it in example format. Let's say let's say my son is 10 or my daughter is 10 or whatever, and it's a giant sleepover. Or let's just put it out there. Let's say my child is 10 and it's a giant sleepover. And they say, Mommy, I really want to go because there's going to be like 8 to 10 of my classmates. And we're all going to go to one person's house, and it's going to be this amazing sleepover. We're going to have a movie night. We're going to play games. We're going to be up on the computer. We're going to be listening to music, whatever the case may be. And I say, well, I'm not letting you go until I talk to so-and-so's parents. I need to see what all kids are going to be there. I can take every safety precaution possible. I can meet the parent. I can go by the house. I can check inside. I can make sure everything is good. But I may not know who all lives in that house. That person could have an extra person that stays there that I may not know about. Hell, for all I know, the person themselves might be doing something to the kids. They'll let them stay, the spouse. I mean, like, you just don't know what's going to happen. Or one of the kids themselves could do something to my child. So I will probably be that parent where my kids cannot do sleepovers for quite some time. Honestly, until they're old enough to protect themselves. And I'm not sure if that protection is going to be in the format of physical protection, like if they're going to be taking classes or anything to learn how to defend themselves, or even if we're just talking about mental protection. So where we just have the conversation to where they're not manipulated as easily, or just ways to make sure they're not being trapped by somebody trying to get over on them or something like that. So yeah, that's probably going to be me. And my mom did let me go to other people's houses. But it wasn't easy convincing. So if I do break down, it would be a conversation between me and my husband about letting them stay. But I just don't trust it, man. It's way too much stuff going on. And that's a tough conversation to come out and have. And I would just be so broken if that happened to my child and I never found out about it until they were like 25 or 30. I'd be so hurt that I wasn't there to protect them or do something about it or fix it when I could have just solved it from jump and never let them go to begin with. So yeah, they might miss out on the sleepover lifestyles. And honestly, I get leery now about just letting them go to grandparents. I mean, and this, by no means do I think my parents are doing anything to my kids. I, I'm just, that's just me. It's just a lot of other people in and out. Like it's just me. So, but I feel like in this time, in this day and age, you just gotta be asking questions, man, because people be out here and people be hiding in plain sight, which I also think not only should you protect your kids physically, but I think you got to protect your kids' energy too, because sometimes people energy just don't be right. And I mean like their aura or the way they carry themselves, or sometimes it just be off and your kids be knowing. Like they just be knowing. So like one time we were going to the doctor's office. And I got my son out and I was getting my daughter out, and that take a little bit of time. I gotta get one kid out one side, run around, get the other kid out the other side, make sure the first kid ain't in the street. It's a lot. And if you got more than two, then it take more time than that. And this car was pulling into the parking spot next to us, so we just had to wait for a second before we could get my daughter out. And so this man hops out, older white man, and he saw my son, and he was like, "You going inside to get a shot, boy?" And first of all, the inflection in the word boy just pissed me off. Number one, he said it like like his great great granddaddy owned some slaves. So that pissed me off. Okay. Just first and foremost, I didn't appreciate that inflection in boy. And I'm just not sure if it's because we're in the South, but I ain't heard boy like that in a long time, and I don't like it. Yes, my son is a boy, but you ain't have to say it like that. Okay? Number one. Number two, what makes you think it's okay to say that to a 4-year-old? Why would that be okay? To scare him into thinking he's going to get a shot. First of all, the doctor's office visit was not for him. Number one. That's number one. Number two, whenever we go to that office, my son never goes there for shots because it's a office that, it's a dermatology office. So he doesn't go there for shots. But that visit wasn't for him anyway. So I was just like, you don't come here for shots, right, buddy? And he was like, no, I don't. And I was like, okay, sir. So that was frustrating. Now, had I been in a different space that day, I could have said something very rude. What if I was like, are you coming here for like a diagnosis of death or something? Like, what if I just had been in that space and I said something that rude? Because he was so old. So, like, what is wrong with you that you would say something like that to a 4-year-old? Like, come on, man. Get out of my kid's energy. Like, you just changed his whole mood for like 3 minutes. Yeah, although he like bounces back so quick, but still, you changed his mood. His energy was completely different. And like, it's not okay. Close your mouth if you ain't got nothing nice to say. And then his wife was like, what are you trying to do, scare her? It seems like your husband says things like that quite a lot because you said it like it was commonplace for him to do that. That was frustrating. And then on another occasion, we went to the store. Can't even remember what we were in the store for. But my son had bought his little toy inside of the store and he was just like singing about it and playing with it. And this giant guy, like he was super tall and he took up a lot of space. Not like not like he was heavy set, but he just was huge, just tall and just, stocky. And oh, my son had like a miniature Elmo stuffed animal, and he was just singing about it and like playing with it, and he was just in a good mood. And I guess the guy was trying to make an Elmo voice, but it was creepy. It was high pitched, so quite a bit of people in the store were like staring at him. And yeah, it wasn't cool. So it was quite creepy. And it threw my son's energy off. He stopped singing about his Elmo. He stopped flying it around. And I was like, okay. And I hurry up and like push the cart away. And this guy was still doing the creepy Elmo voice, even though we were like 25 feet away from him. And it was loud. You could still hear him. And yeah, that ruined the whole thing for my son. Like he stopped playing with the Elmo toy like throughout the store. So that was frustrating. Like that for me, I felt like I had failed almost to like protect him in those instances because I did nothing. I felt like I didn't say anything, but I got him out of there in both instances. Like I got him away from those people, but I felt like I should have said something to him. And I mentioned this to my husband. Like I feel like I got to do more to protect his energy because those, there are people out there. They're weird, and they do some weird things, man, or say weird things. And they just brought him down, and that frustrated me. I'm not going to allow you to do that to my kids. And I don't know if the second guy, he was just trying to be nice, I guess, but it got awkward really fast. And obviously my son wasn't into it. Like, I'm not going to allow you to do that. And we won't play those games. Like, just move along. If he's clearly not into it, I'm not going to force him to be into it. We're not going to force a smile. Like, I'm just not into that era. Like how your parents used to make you hug the long distance relative that that's your cousin so-and-so. I don't know them. We haven't seen them since I was like in diapers. So I won't remember them anyway. I won't do that to my child. Because for me, that's reinforcing that I have to give affection and love to people I don't know. And then that's easier to me for people to prey on them and force them into situations that they don't want to be in and force them to do things that they're uncomfortable with. So, I'm not doing that with my kids, and I'm always going to do what I can to protect their energy and to protect them. So, just let me know if you guys if you're listening, if you have had these talks with your kids, how early have you done that? And what do you do to make sure you keep your kids safe? What's a safe space for your kids? And is it wrong to make sure, is it wrong to keep that distance with your kids? I keep strangers at bay. I know people like, oh, your kids are so cute, da, da, da. Whatever, that's great. Admire my kids from afar. I don't do strangers' kids, like that because I feel a certain way when people roll up on my kids and are just like, oh, your kids are so cute. Oh, she's so precious. Like, great. Great that you find them cute or, nice looking kids, but you don't have to roll up on my kids and think you just have to touch on them or get it all in their space and change their moods. Like, you're weird. They think you're weird. I don't know you. Or if we're related and I know you, but my kids don't know you, I'm not forcing them to show you love and be all over you and try to talk to you. Like, that's not fair. So for me, come around more often or whatnot, and then we can make this work. But, we won't force anything. um, with our kids. And my husband usually agrees, and he does agree with that logic. If they don't see you, even though we're related, but I know you, I'm not going to force my kids to, oh, I love you, and give hugs and things like that. They can speak, but, until they warm up to you within the time that you're visiting, we won't force it. And that's okay. They don't know you like that. But anyway, thanks for listening. And until next time.